So you built this yourself. So what's this
not
here?
entirely myself. I didn't do every single bit by hand. I had help doing it, but a lot of it I've done myself. This was the removalist van, the Pantech in the middle. I'll take you inside and show you that in a minute.
That's so clever.
And that was an old removalist van. So, but I bought that before I came here, and I did it all up. I stripped it all back and stripped all the metal back. You couldn't tell by now. It's been sitting here for years. And
Looks awesome. It's patina. Look at it. Perfect.
Then stripped it all back and then fitted it out on the inside. So it's like a mobile home on the inside, and it's still on its wheels. So technically speaking,
You're a caravan.
it's not a permanent dwelling. Oh yeah, get the other Kel.
Now here we are.
Bells, it's Kel's.
Now this is, so it's about 2 years ago since we interviewed you? Or?
3, I think.
3?
I think it's coming up 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where we met you, we were driving to Bourke. We'd gone through 2 towns and no one would talk to us. We were feeling despondent. And then suddenly this ute is just driving towards us crazy. And I said to Cal, we might be in a spot of bother here. The guy's a nutter, but instead it was you.
Hey, pull over, pull over.
Now why were you out there in the middle of the bush driving, trying to stop us?
To meet you.
Yeah.
I was chasing you down.
Yeah, but why the need? You said you were feeling alone where you were?
Well, I've been watching Cafe Locked Out and feeling like, I was the only soul on the planet where I live. There was all the stuff going on, the ostracising and discrimination and name calling and labelling and locked down, locked out, locked in, locked up, all of that going on. And going crazy, for someone who can't stand to be confined.
Yeah.
This stuff was driving me mad, and I felt like I am a bit of a lone ranger, but I was a lonely ranger back then.
Let's talk about that, because this is what I love about you. This is why I've been trying to seek you out again, because we didn't get your number. Talk about how you've grown up looking at the horizon, because I totally understand that.
I guess that's always been there, even as a young kid. I was told about this. I don't remember it because I was only about 4 years old. Of going off, I had a horse, and I used to get on the horse and just ride away from the house. And I didn't come home one day, and the folks never worried because she was a beautiful old horse, totally bomb-proof. And in those days, it didn't matter where you went. I mean, you could just get on your horse and ride, get on your bike and ride, and it was be home before dark or whatever. So I didn't come back, and they started looking for me, and they found me. I'd crossed the creek on the horse, and there was a bit of an island on the other side of the creek, and I was asleep in the grass, in the long grass, and they saw the horse just standing there, over me, patiently waiting for me to get up and find a log to climb back on to get on her again. And there I was, and that dear horse had stood there all the time waiting for me. But I used to put on my little moccasins and skirt and jacket or vest, and I was always an Indian. So
you weren't scared?
No, not at all.
Now, can I say, we have a country now that's crippled by fear. The fear of saying the wrong thing and being called a racist or an anti-vaxxer or a misogynist or you name it, whatever. Everyone's fear, and the people seem to be going, everything's fine now, like they're basically acclimatising. This is how we live now in a world of lies and fears.
Normalised, yeah.
And so someone like you is a splinter in the side. They want you silenced or something because you're disruptive, because you are a symbol of freedom, even though you don't know it. I mean, talk about the camels. This is extraordinary. I know we've interviewed before, but for those who just met you, what did you do with camels?
Well...
What a setup for a joke that thing was.
I won't tell you what my nickname is. It just happened. It was nothing that was planned, it just happened. And so I ended up with a string of camels and crossed Australia with them.
Where did you get the camels from? Broome?
No. Originally, the camels came from a place called Cornby up in Western Queensland.
Okay.
So I went up there with another person, and these camels they'd been caught in the Simpson Desert, I believe, and then bucked out a bit. And they were bushed when I got onto them, when I found them, and I found they were for sale.
Is that terminology mean they're pretty wild?
Oh,
Is that what bush means?
well, they'd just been bushed. They'd just been put out.
Yeah.
You know, nothing was happening with them because they'd been caught. People were going to do something with them. You know, they bucked them out, whatever, and then they weren't doing that anymore. So they just bushed them again. So they just go back to being feral again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I selected some of the camels that I wanted, and then.
How'd you pick a good camel from a bad camel?
Oh, I suppose you know,
the
getting
looks?
other people's opinions, seeing if they're friendly or not. I don't know how they ride. You know, that type of thing. So then
you wouldn't just ride the one camel. You'd ride different ones on different days.
Oh, you can, but you end up probably with a good riding camel. If you have a good riding camel, well, that'll end up being your lead camel. And they need to be a little bit fearless and to be able to lead the rest of the others and give them confidence. And then if you're lucky enough to have a good anchor camel, so the one on the back of the string, that keeps them in line at the back as well.
Wow.
So that gives them confidence at the front and the back, and the others will just go along like the sheep. They'll
So
go,
what qualities do you need for an anchor camel?
steady, unruffled, and probably a little bit tough. You know, so you can put the brakes on when you need to, or you can nudge the one up in front if you need to, or just, you know, put your shoulder into it. Whereas the lead camel needs to be brave and fearless, and reliable, 100% reliable. Like my lead camel, Heckle, was a nasty personality, a very nasty personality. I loved her to bits because she was such a character, but she was fearless. She was absolutely fearless. But some camels will let you like go up and kiss them on the face or whatever. You tried to do it, she'd bite you. She'd just go, get out of my face, you know. Like humans kissing me, you know. She was fearless, but I loved her because she was absolutely brilliant. And she had a character. She had a real personality and character about her. And
I did not expect to see huge tiles on the floor.
I did all of this myself. And so there's no concrete pad because you weren't supposed to have concrete pads here.
Yeah.
So I did a mortar bed for every single tile. I built
No
a mortar
way.
bed, put the tile down, next mortar bed, tile, next mortar bed, and I've done here all of that like that, which you can tell, you know, it hasn't all matched up, so I've had to fill in all the gaps in between. So
And you've done that with little crystals and stuff.
Yeah, little mosaics everywhere.
Wow.
And there's a bigger one over there.
Oh yeah. Wow. I love the creativity of it. This is so cool.
Oh, the gallery.
Yeah. Are these your paintings or you just picked them up?
Oh, no, I haven't. I've you know, just dabbled mucking around, but I'm no painter. I'm no artist.
You did that?
No, I do things like that. But
Oh yeah,
I'm just,
cool.
I'm not an artist at all.
How long did the journey take? So you went from Queensland to where?
No, I went from, that was the original one. That was about 1,200 kilometres. That was from Western Queensland down to south of Alice Springs. So that was like my baptism of fire, learning about them.
Yeah.
And
you by yourself?
No, I was travelling with someone at the time.
Okay.
You know, someone who had more experience than me. And
what was it like being out there in the middle of the bush, no cars, no anything?
best feeling in the world. Well, one of the best feelings in the world. It was absolutely incredible. I could never ever describe really how good it was because it was just food for your soul.
Yeah.
Waking up every morning, through the night, sleeping under the stars, dry riverbeds, and travelling all day with your animals, finding them feed, stopping, lighting a fire, cooking a meal. It was just basic survival and looking after your animals. Yeah. But lots and lots of time for soul searching, lots of times for, I guess, dreaming, soul searching, going back through things, you know, down memory lanes all the time, having conversations. You know, I'd have conversations all the time with myself and with other people. When I first went out to Central Australia, I guess it was a real crossroads in my life, and I didn't know really where I should be or what I should be doing. And this just all happened, and it happened for the right reason. It was like I went into the desert after getting back and doing other trips. I actually literally went through the desert, and it was like sloughing off all that other stuff that had happened and coming out the other side of it. So it was really very symbolic, I suppose. But at the time, not purposely symbolic. I wasn't looking for that type of thing. I just knew it was something that I wanted to do, needed to do, and so I did it. And it would also appeal to that sense of freedom and adventure that I've always had, of searching horizons, looking down the track, wondering where that road unfurls and what's at the other end, and who's there and what might happen. And I was saying to...
Before you go there, can't you say, though, that this country is built for people like this? It's got a vast sky. It's all this space. It's built for people who want to dream and have an adventure.
It's a pioneering country, and it used to be. When I went over to the Territory, I thought, gee, it's the last frontier. And that's how it felt, that everything else was starting to creep and creep and creep in, and it was always concentrated around the coast, but it was starting to become dense everywhere else as well. And everything was being regulated and infiltrated and overlorded. So that to me, and it wasn't really until I was doing that trip that it became more obvious too, because that's when I started thinking, gosh, I knew there were a lot of regulations being laid down in other areas of our lives, but now it's out here, it's out in these wide open spaces. You start to see it's creeping, cutting off the rivers so you can't get to the water anymore. Leasing out the stock routes so you can't travel on the stock routes. Their gates being closed, wired up so you can't travel with your animals. You can't get over grids with your animals. You have to go off and find a gate, but those gates have all been wired up.
Oh, so they've actually made it impossible to do what you did then.
Well, it wasn't impossible,
but much harder.
You've got to find your way. You've got to find a way of doing it. I had to cut down trees to get through a gate. Because they've been closed and locked for so long that the trees have grown up. And I'm not talking about huge big gum trees, but saplings and wired up. You'd have to cut the wire and then rewire it up as you left, because if you don't, well, you can't leave wires down and fences down and all that. Well, I can't. So you'd have to rewire it when you did it.
This is all with the camels. How many camels did you have?
Up to... probably had up to 6 or 8, but when I was doing that trip, I had across Australia, I had 3. I think I had 3.
So 2 were pack animals and 1 was a rider.
No, well, initially, I had 2 as pack and 1 as a rider. In the first part of that trip, I started that trip with somebody else, and there were 8 camels altogether, so there were a couple of spares, and there was a packs and 1 to carry the food, 1 to carry the water, 1 to carry the swags and whatever, clothing, and then when I was travelling by myself, I had 3, so 2 pack and 1 riding camel, and then I built a wagon.
Built a wagon?
Yeah.
How do you build a wagon?
Well, you get an old chuck wagon, an old tucker wagon that the drovers used to use, and it had a big steel plate floor, so I cut that steel plate floor out because it's too heavy for the camels to pull, put in a thin plate steel floor, and I found some Grace Brothers removalist boxes at the Alice Springs tip. I put them on the wagon and driving a seat out of a car, and I put that up the front.
A seat out of a car, this is Mad Max stuff.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Put a kickboard on the front, and what else? Oh yeah, put some some corrugated iron on the roof, and then a very dear friend of mine over there made me some canvas sides to go around it, so it was waterproof.
So corrugated iron roof, canvas sides, a car seat as your seat, an old cart that you got from somewhere.
Yeah. An old chuck wagon, and the Grace Brothers removalist boxes. And then I opened up the sides, so I cut holes in the sides so that you could open it up, and that was my kitchen, my outside kitchen. It had a flap down, so I had Yeah, I did build a better one later on. I built a real fancy model down the track a bit, but that was the wagon that that I used in part of the way across Australia. Yeah.
And how did it cope with the landscape?
It was a bit different. Travelling on the wagon was very different to travelling cross country because you have to stick to tracks and roads.
Oh, okay.
So it's harder on the camels. Easier for me in that I could sit down, so I didn't have to walk or ride. I could actually sit. Sometimes not really doze, but you could relax a bit. I could have a cup of tea while we're going along and just have the music playing and the bells jingling, and the camels would just be plodding along doing their thing, half asleep, and that was fine. But you know, it had its own problems. That they wore out their pads on the bitumen when I was on bitumen roads. It'd wear their pads down because they're just like big tough pieces of leather. Yeah, and then lots of traffic. You know, some traffic's good on the road, some traffic's not so good. You know, they shower you with stones as they're going past and spook the animals. And then you come to the grids, and that's really hard to negotiate. So I made grid mats. So these big grid mats that I hung off the side of the wagon, I'd haul them out, lay them over the grids, fold them back up, put them back on, and they would go across those. But sometimes as I moved through to Queensland, for example, the spaces between the grids were too big, and the camels didn't like the feeling of their foot going in between those spaces, even though they were on a mat. They felt unsafe. So if it was easier, sometimes I'd go through a gate, and then the gates might be all locked up or trees growing, or have to go down a big ditch on the side of the road to get to it, and that's hard on a wagon. So every day was like an obstacle. There were obstacles to overcome and challenges to overcome every day. There was
And only you to rely on.
Yeah, and me to work out how to do it, but I did. Eventually worked out, you know, how to get around this one or that one, or down this hill or up that side of the, you know, the road or the river, or getting bogged and, you know, all that stuff. Flooded rivers, crossing flooded rivers. Bushfires. There was a bushfire.
Really?
Yeah, we were in a bushfire. So, and 4 cyclones that year.
4?
It was a year of cyclones. 2, I think one came in, or 2 came in when I was in Western Australia, and then 2 in the Northern Territory. So,
And what? Wow.
Is that you?
yeah, friend of mine.
What a place to sleep. What did you take? Did you just go straight across from WA, or you went around the top?
Straight across the Gibson Desert. So from Steep Point across to Meekatharra, over to south of Alice Springs, and that's where I built the wagon. So then I had to stick to tracks. I went up across the Plenty Highway and down through Western Queensland, came back into New South Wales around, where did I come through New South Wales? Texas.
Oh,
Yeah. And then I came down through Tenterfield. Yeah, I went around the back of Timbara, where the old gold mines were, through the forestry there, and that's where the bushfire was at the time. And then down through the back of Casino, Lismore, and that's the area where I grew up, around there. So.
And what do people think of you when you're coming in with this camel train and this Mad Max looking car?
Oh yeah, well the cart I left, I didn't take the cart up the range because the camels wouldn't be able to. They could pull it up, but they couldn't stop it from coming down the road. So I left and when I got around the Bolin area, Dirranbandi, which is just up the road here, one of my camels ended up with a stone bruise, so I had to leave one behind. So I only had 2 camels then. So then I walked them.
What's a stone bruise? Just it's bruised out?
Yeah, just stepping on a really, something very sharp, and the stone. We get stone bruises like a shin splint underneath your foot or something. Yeah.
Sorry, the glare's burning my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just have to wait for that bruise to come out, which could have been weeks. So I found a place to left her behind, and just took 2 with me, and then we walked from where Lily got the stone bruise. I ended up walking from there right over to Byron Bay.
Wow.
Yeah,
So most of the time you were walking.
walking, riding, wagoning.
Yeah.
So
What's the Gibson Desert like when you're out there? Because that's really remote.
pretty, really beautiful. Really
Really?
beautiful. And not, look, most of the desert country, I always thought it's just going to be sand and nothing
Yeah.
else, but it's not. There's so much life out there. There's there's trees, there's bushes, shrubs, herbage. The most beautiful thing in the desert are the big wells on top of the sand ridges. So you get a big well in the middle, and that's where any moisture collects. So in that well, you get a lot of vegetation. That's good camel food. So I used to love sleeping right up on top of a sand ridge in the well. The camels were eating there, and I was sleeping up on top of the well with the 360-degree view of the stars and the heavens. So,
Oh my God.
and that was you're literally on top of the world.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that's higher than that out there.
Yeah. But you could have been safe in Melbourne in a suburb, taking your kids to school, being in a marriage that wasn't working and doing some job you didn't like. Why didn't you do that instead?
Oh, I've never done any of that. I never did any of those things.
Well, what I'm saying is, when someone in Melbourne says, okay, they're taking away my freedoms, but they already feel trapped, but the ramifications is someone like you, it's like they're coming after you, and you just literally are. You've celebrated your freedom all your life.
Yeah, really, it's been the pursuit of freedom, I suppose, has been the main purpose of my life, or my main job in life. It's all I can do, and any time that I stay for any length of time in a place, I just start to think, no, I'm in a cage here, I'm caged in, I have to go.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling a little bit like that now, actually, that I can't.
And we're in Lightning Ridge, and what's the town you live in?
The town.
Well, not the town, or whatever you call it, whatever you guys call it.
Well, it does have 3 pubs, but it's hardly a town. The Opal Fields at Grawin. Yeah, Grawin Glengarry Sheepyard Opal Fields is the official title.
So how did you end up there?
Ended up there for a birthday party. Someone that I was with at the time, after I finished that trip, I was in a relationship, and they had a friend out here who was having a 50th birthday party, came to just up the road. It was at the bowling club at Lightning Ridge. So we went out to Grawin, where these people lived, and I thought, wow, this is a bit different. And they showed me a bit about the opals, and I started getting very interested in that. And I looked around at the country, and it was good camel country. So I said, oh, this could be a good place for me. So I've ended up here. Long story short, 20 years later.
Wow.
This is where I am. Yeah.
And how have you been going with the opals? Are you having any luck? I mean, do you fossick on the top, or did you mine?
Used to mullock. Used to noodle on the mullock heaps, but that's now illegal.
Okay, you can speak English to us from the city.
Okay, the mullock heap is like the tailings. So the leftovers, after they've extracted the opal from the dirt underground, they bring it up. They might go through it, or they've found it underground, and the rest is what's considered to be rubbish. So they take that to the mullock heap, which were great big piles. And this is only Grawin because in Lightning Ridge it's slightly different configuration of opal. So out there it appears as seam opal, so it's mined the same, but it's treated slightly differently. Okay. And I'm not an expert on mining, so let someone else explain that better to you. But there used to be, you could mullock out, you could noodle on the mullock heaps out there. When I first went there, there would have been a couple of hundred people camped around.
So noodle means look through.
Yeah, speck through the, or fossick, through all the tailings, all the dirt, and until you find colour, and a lot of people do. I've found little bits. I've never found anything amazing, but it's occupied me for a long time because I love it, and I love searching for it and finding it, and then cutting and polishing the opal. It's a fascinating stone. It's a beautiful thing.
Can I ask, when you're doing the fossicking or even the mining, is it hard to get away from it because you're thinking one more chip, one more shovel, one more stone overturned, and there might be a great piece waiting for you?
I'm sure it would be like that for the miners to a large extent, although some of them are probably a bit more disciplined. But it would be like that if I was mining, and I haven't had my own mines. I've only mined with other people, and looked up and realised that it's night time, and I haven't even known what time it was because you're just so engrossed in this chase. Yeah. And even noodling, I would be like that noodling. I'd be out on the mullock heap all day and go, oh my God, it's almost dark, I better get home. But I've been there all day, absolutely, totally relaxed, with no other company than birds, kangaroos, emus, wild goats.
Wow.
Passing through and saying hello, and I've just been digging in the dirt, turning over dirt. And the same thing as when it's probably a bit meditative, the same as travelling with the camels. You've got a lot of time to process whatever's going on, or to not have anything going on in your mind at all, just to be completely chilled and involved in what you're doing. So, those spaces are they're really important to me, and they're probably harder to find, those spaces.
And now you're saying the government's coming after this mining camp.
There's been a lot of hullabaloo, I should say, about what's going on out here. It's happened in other places too, but what's going on in this area is a review was done of the Wilcox report, which was handed down about 2011 or 12, where they've just changed a lot of the rules and regulations, and of course I don't have any trust about what the ulterior motive is for that. So it's created a lot of angst for people. We've been in limbo for 3 years over this. They invalidated everyone's titles. There's supposed to be some resolution coming, like Christmas. It's going to run over us and it'll be gone, and we'll be out the other side and think, Jesus, what was that? I'm not even sure what that's going to look like. No one knows what that's going to look like, because it's all been, up until now, it's been secret squirrel business.
Well, why do you think that is? Do they want the land? Do the miners want to go there, or they're just bureaucrats out of control?
I think bureaucrats love being bureaucrats and being bigger bureaucrats. I'm not really sure whether it's just justifying their own positions. It's always couched in terms of, this will be better for you. We're doing this to make things better for everyone. I'm not sure who the everyone is. All I know is that it has put a lot of people into a state of anxiety. There's the population at Grawin, I'm only speaking for Grawin, is predominantly, of the residents, are predominantly aged people, so 70 and up. And so to have that level of anxiety and the unknown going on in your life for the last 3 years is, I think, extremely cruel. Just to leave people in that state of not knowing what's going on, what your future holds. Some people want, like myself, I want to leave there. I want to sell my camp and go, because I don't want to be here anymore. I need to go and do other things. There's also people who need to go and find places to live where they're closer to health services, or closer to family. For all sorts of reasons, people might want to sell. They might want to pass their claim on to somebody in their family. They might want to stay there for the rest of their lives. But we don't know, because the conditions that could be imposed by the government on those leases being renewed, we have no idea what that's going to be and what that means for the future. So my only asset is my camp. And if I lose that, or if I can't sell it, that's it.
Wow.
That's my superannuation, that's everything, is tied up in that camp. So that's where we've been swinging in the breeze for the last 3 years.
And it seems so remote and out of the place, you'd wonder why they're bothering.
Well, they have to have their finger in everyone's pie. They've got to be in our faces, in our lives, in our computers, in our heads, in our minds. They're just in our lives.
Is this what you're seeing with this from when you were young to now?
Oh.
I know Gary was saying the same, that the government's gone from hardly being known, now it's into everything. Is this what you're seeing?
Yeah, they've gone from being people who should just be there to govern the country and stay out of our lives, take care of the basics. Someone has to take care of the books, the roads, whatever.
The bins,
the hospitals, the health, whatever. However, they've gone from that into give us all your money and we're going to tell you what to do, what to think, what to eat, what to feel, where to go, where you can't go. So the interference in our lives has just become so over the top. It doesn't even feel like it's your life anymore. It's not our life anymore. It's something that they're going to grant to us if we comply.
So it's like a privilege.
Yeah, but you know, that's not going to happen. The compliance is not going to happen as far as I can help anyway. You know that old saying, you know, live on your feet or die on your knees. Well, I know where I'll be. No, what is it? Live on your knees and die on your feet. Yeah, I know I'll still be standing.
The roof is from a tip in Walgett.
From the tip, yeah.
Yeah.
And the props or these.
So this is like the shed.
Yeah. It was for the wagons. So I used to have my wagons in here, and it wasn't closed in, and then I closed.
I can see how organised you are. It's really good.
Oh yeah, I'm a bit of an organisational freak. I like things that I can put my hands on really quickly.
Yeah. Kelly like that. Yeah. Wow.
And then you know the rest is all my building materials, which I'm still using. It's not finished yet, but getting there. Yeah.
I have to dig out the other interview. We do have, so we just recorded the camel story, and we have recorded it before, but this is, you're in Alice Springs, and you're with someone working with you on this camel train, and they're after fame, but fame actually comes after you with New Idea.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened with that.
New Idea, you know, got the message that I was doing this trip, and they said when you get to Alice Springs, which was at the time of the Camel Cup, we'd like to do an interview. And I say, oh yeah, okay. And and what we're going to do is we'll send a photographer and we'll have a reporter there, and we'll get all your photos, and you'll be in New Idea. And we want you to, you'll be riding in the Camel Cup and you'll be doing this and that. And I went, hang on a minute, how much are you paying me for this? And they said, oh, we're not paying you for anything, we'll give you coverage. And I went, well, I'm not after coverage. Somebody else might be, but I'm not after coverage. I'm not after fame, and I'm certainly not after fortune because I'm financing this myself. So what are you paying me? And they said, oh, no, there's no money involved. And I said, well, piss off. I'm not interested. And they went, oh, but we'll give you a centre, you'll get a double page spread and everyone will know what you're doing and, your photo will be there. And I said, yeah, but I don't want that. You want that. I don't want that. You're making money out of me. So what are you paying me? And they said, oh, no, there's no money involved. And I said, piss off. Not interested.
You move so warmly through the darkness that when I felt you close, misused you as a light. But I know now that you are ascending as you are meant to do. I hope that I didn't hold you here too long, but nothing is bound to my story. There are no kite strings, there are no tears. If I was someone other than here, maybe I'd learn how better to fall. But I can't stay here being me. The path is dragging me somewhere to here. I don't know why things sink as they do, yet the sun